we're here with Live in the Mob. We've got Craig and Joey tonight. We're here kind of talking about things that went on over the weekend on the mob and how things are going. So, welcome Craig and welcome Joey. How you guys
What's up,
doing?
guys?
What's up, guys?
How you guys doing? Very good.
So, anybody see Dave Shaw got rid of that 57 here today?
Be- Beautiful car. I saw it loading up on the trailer. Looks like you did a great job.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
does. It looks pretty good looking.
yeah, good looking, very good
Yeah.
looking.
Shout out to Dave too because he started a YouTube channel and he shared the post to the page, and he did the installation of the front windshield, and it was real thorough. He did a good job. He spoke over the video and showed putting butyl in the to seal it up and everything before he put it in. Used the rope technique, and I've never done the front window, so it was fun to see somebody do it. And boy, he was gentle doing it and did a fantastic job. You can tell it's not his first one.
Oh, cool. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing to see just everybody taking on these projects, and some are just enthusiasts and some do it for a living. Just the amount of time it takes to do it, and just the quality, and everybody's learning,
Yep.
So, and they're not afraid. That's what I like. They're not afraid to take on a project. They're like, somebody could be like, oh, that car's going to need tons of work. But if they see somebody on the mob actually, doing a Terry Bledsoe, cutting everything out, with,
Oh yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, just like, well, if he can do that, by God, I can do that too. So,
Yeah.
that's it's good stuff, man. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
Terry's
that
taking
was
on quite a project there.
Terry's got a big project, and yet now that Terry has learned, he's starting to spread the knowledge to other people. I noticed because Mike Hummel, who's building the 57, had some questions about um, the inner. I don't know what you want to call it. Right next to where the floor meets the vent on the driver's side
Oh,
and the
the brace.
rocker area. Yep, the
Yeah,
brace.
the cowl
And
brace.
yep, the cowl brace. And Terry hopped in, did a little video on his. Even though 55s and 57s are different, Terry's main brace is out where 55 had a brace and the 6 and 7s or the 57s didn't. But to watch even Mike Hummel's post, I think within a half hour there was like 22 replies and pictures, and it was good to see a lot of response on that. And so can't beat that.
No, you can't beat that. That's plenty good to have, plenty of response, and that's what the
Yep.
mob's really about, is having plenty of
Hmm.
response, having guys there, you know. So, anyways, we've got Joey with us tonight, as we've already kind of said. Um, thought we'd ask Joey a little bit about he's decided to go with a cam change and how his first passes went. So, Joey, kind of tell us about how your first passes went and what made you decide to go with a cam change. Was there just something that wasn't pulling in the mid range where you wanted it to, or was it?
Well, the word for today, the word for today is gremlins. So, yeah, it hasn't been as smooth as I anticipated. But the reason for the cam change was two. Um, we ran the car. We had some expectations for the car, and it wasn't responding. And so basically, it was just building heat. So a lot of y'all know that you can overcarburate a motor, but in any kind of power adder, you can add too much overlap. And this cam had way too much overlap to it. So basically, it was called. I think the term is called reversion, and it pulls. When it pulls air down in the chamber and the overlap, it actually pushes it back up. So if you
Right.
take your carburetor off or your intake off and you see a bunch of fuel in there, that's what's happening. So when it pushes it back up, it loses its oxygen, it pulls it back down. You're just losing a lot of power.
Right. You're
So,
leaving the exhaust and the intake open at the same time too long.
yep. And
Basically.
so that happens a lot. And anyway, if we'd have just been adding more boost to it, could have burned something up. So we decided to change the cam, and we did a video. I think I posted it to the mob, and it just it doesn't sound like an Evinrude or an outboard motor now. So anyway, so we went to that little. It was a kind of a race, and they had a bunch of tri-fives there too. But it's a series that goes around, and thought we'd go out there and really had a lot of expectations. And for whatever reason, we couldn't get on the two-step. So for those that don't know, yeah, it would just blow through. So the first pass I got up, we had two things. So Josh, the guy that does a lot of the work on the car, he tuned it with his computer, and then I have my computer, and so the versions were different. So there was a change, and so it leaned out basically at the top. It's got two O2 sensors in it, and I had it to one instead of averaging to both. So that was a problem. And and it didn't leave at all, left on no boost, and it flashed past the converter. So I was trying to figure that out. Went to the second pass, found out on the top end, that was fine, but didn't know when we unloaded, we thought may have hit something under there or whatever. We were just checking. Anyway, it didn't work out. I was leaving at 5250, and it was just way past the converter, and it was a dog. Didn't get a chance for a third pass. It was a sucky day, not going to lie, it sucked. But anyway, a lot of promise and empty. And so we loaded up. It was, went back home. I actually did a little driving around with it. I finally found what the problem was. And all I was just checking voltage with a multimeter. And, something just said, well, I just changed the pins. So, on an output, I could do a little short video on that. But anyway, I just moved the outputs from the outputs of it from one pin to another pin, and boom, it magically started working. So I was driving the car around. Yeah, it was crazy. You're like, man, I wish I could have had that, because I'd love to leave. Like the car leaves.
Right.
It actually does pretty well with the old stuff on it and some of the front end changes. But anyway, so I had a stuck injector open. So I bought a set of Atomizer Gen 2s from the guy that actually builds, I think I've posted him at Freak Show. So he went methanol, and I bought his old injectors that were refurbished, got a good deal on them. And anyway, I had one stuck wide open. Luckily, it didn't, I caught it in time, and I knew what hydrolocking was. So, I got it home, and I could smell fuel coming out of the car really bad. So I killed it and pulled it in the garage. Then I went to start it, and it turned it over, and it went click. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I just pulled the plugs out of it, spun it over, and it just shot a big old wad of fuel out of it. So called them, sent them in, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't work on Gen 2 stuff anymore. So guess what? Right. So you have to let me do this real quick. Yeah. So he's on Gen 3s. So when you spend $2,000, you get this really free cool T-shirt.
A T-shirt for $2,000.
Yeah. So anyway, so I have, and they're a lot bigger than what I had on there, because that's what he had in stock, and I didn't feel like waiting. So, but they can be tuned out of it. So now I'm waiting on retuning the car. I've driven it around, but it's, yeah, I mean, it's not right. So just waiting. I want to get a dyno session. So I told Josh, I said, let's just get a dyno session in, get this thing tuned right. It's supposed to be going to the body shop in about 2 weeks. So it's finally going to get some paint on it. So I don't know how. Two colors.
Okay, 2 colors.
So it'll be 2 colors. It'll be gold and yellow. So same colors. I'll let the mob on a little. Some of y'all do know, some of you don't, but I'm trying to change it up a little bit. So the hood, is gold, and then the roof will be, instead of being yellow, I'm going to make it gold. I want to see what it looks like. I think it'll change the look of the car. I think it'll actually make the car look lower, but it'll still be the same 2 colors. So I don't know how that's going to work out with getting the dyno in and all that, and try to get back to the track. So it may be a little bit. I really am trying to get this thing ironed out, and I want to be out the Tri-5 Nationals, at least with a painted car. The interior may not be in it, but it'll have a painted car. So,
well, there was a lot of cars at the Tri-5 Nats that didn't have interiors in them. That was the funny part.
Yeah,
as you walk around. Well, that's okay.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see we'll see how it works out. So, the most important thing is to get it to turn, run a good time, what it's supposed to run, and that's my anticipation. I know the car goes straight. I have had it out there, so I'm not so worried about painting it now in case I scrape a wall or something with it. But right now it's going straight.
Mailbox.
Hey, mailboxes.
Mailbox.
You know what's sad? You know what's bad though is, I mean, that's, Daniel, you race. I mean, that's just,
It's
I
part of it.
mean, there's that. That's why we wear safety gear, and that's part of it. So, I mean, even driving your car daily, there's so many people texting and not paying attention. I mean, they can run into your car just as easily as you can go down the drag strip.
Oh yeah, just as easily. It doesn't matter one way or the other. They can get you.
That absolutely terrifies me, because even yesterday morning I was on the freeway, and I was actually getting off at the exit at my house, and a girl is on the phone texting behind the wheel, and she's swerving all around, and of course then I want to take a picture because that's what I do, but then I realize I'm not much better. But she was all over the road, and it's a 70-mile-an-hour freeway, and she was doing 48, 50 miles an hour. And there's
Yeah.
at a certain point, like those people in the summer, like I told my wife and son when we're driving the car, I put the pedal down to get around and away from people, and I stay back 40 yards from trucks and everything. And last year I did pretty good, but there's some people, like you said, that truly aren't paying attention, and you think these cars are built like tanks, but I'll tell you what, you get a new Subaru and it'll crush your back end, because that's the way they're built nowadays,
Oh yeah.
So
Well, I mean, I tell you what, even trailering the cars when we go out of town to go race. I mean, it's amazing. People are just trying to take pictures of the car and they're swerving in your lane, and you're like, hey, I mean,
yep.
that's cool. You want them to look at, and you appreciate the fact that you have an old car, but I mean,
Right.
sometimes people just can't multitask, and all they care about is getting that perfect shot or whatever it is. And I'm scared on the highway just because of that, or they're speeding up to try to catch up to you, and they're cutting cars. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel safer. I really feel safer on the track because I know I've only got one car to deal with.
Yeah.
Right.
That's in the other. That's the other line. Yeah, and I know there's safety immediately close by. So, I don't know about you, Daniel, but once I get to the water box, it's different. Like I get my little nervous tension, like I'm in the staging lanes. That's when I'm nervous.
Yeah. You get the
And I start.
butterflies in your gut, and you're like,
Yeah.
gosh, how fast is it gonna go this time? What's it gonna do? Is it gonna pull left, pull right? Is it gonna go straight?
I always had. I do I have to pee. I don't know about you, but I have the nervous pee. I'll have to go. I have to go. I have to go to the bathroom or something. But
there'll be that.
yeah,
It's like you're the next set of cars out, and you have that extreme urge, like, okay, I gotta go to the bathroom. But then when you get up to the water box, that feeling is just gone, and you're like, okay, focus. We're down the track here, And you do the burnout, and you go up and roll through, and you get up to the stage car, and you still got a little bit of the butterflies in your gut when you're staging the car. But then once you're staged, pre-stage, and when that light starts coming down and you've got it to the wood, you're ready to let the clutch out. Oh, sorry, you let the button go.
Oh, here we go.
With your tranny.
Trans brake. Don't forget that.
Tranny brake. There you
go.
I'm not saying that word.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
I got in trouble for that one.
But I mean, what's really cool, I mean, we're sitting here talking about going to the racetrack, but I'm thinking of all ages. That'll never change. That'll never change. Of two cars pulling up to a stoplight on the street, same thing. It's there's that little respect. Like if you have a fast car, then if you have another one, you're like, they kind of pull in, to next to her. Some don't, and it's going to be when those two guys pull up next to that light, and there's a straight in front of them. I mean, I'm not promoting street racing, but I'm just saying that's just how it starts, man. You look over at the other guy, and you're like, boom, let's go.
Well, it's just cool. I'll tell you what, it's funny you say that, because I on Instagram, and now they're on Facebook, small page, the Tri-5 crew. It's basically a bunch of Tri-5 guys that are on the West Coast. And so I follow them on Instagram, and they just posted a video today on Instagram and Facebook. And the one guy, his name is Justin Gonzalez. He's got a 56 hardtop and nice car. And Joey, you and I have talked about his motor, because he's the one that sent me some stuff, and he's on his backup motor right now. Anyways, this other guy pulls up next to him in a convertible 57. And the guy taking the video is on the backside, behind him at the stoplight. light takes off. They both spin their tires, and I don't know if this convertible had a turbo or Pro Charger or what, but it smoked the tires. After it rolled about 10 feet, it just smoked the tires, and it sent him right into the curb. And as you see, the car did one of these off the curb. So I imagine that somebody was buying a new rim today, you know,
Yeah.
and because he lost control.
Arm,
Yep.
oh yeah, all that.
Yeah, there's no.
stuff.
Yeah, but like you said, it's when I mean, even I do it in my truck, and my truck has got a tune, but basically bone stock. You get up next to the light, and you kind of look over, and
Yep.
you try to get them off the light, you know, and to give it all she's got, you know. And there isn't a week in 9 years of owning that truck that I haven't pegged it all the way over, you know, going through the gears. That's you got to do it. It's just fun, you know.
Yeah.
Stand on it once in a while and just give her hell.
Stick
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
So,
just because it's amazing what you kind of do. Like if you drive like your pickup, you know, we have similar trucks, but you know, if you see a half ton and you see another make or a guy that's got a truck that's similar to yours, and you just like you want to find out who's better. You know, that's just I mean, that's just naturally what it is. It doesn't matter. You could be doing that
Yep.
in bicycles. We're gonna do it in bicycles. You know, it's just what it is. So I mean, you even do it. I mean, Craig even does it with power tools. He like puts these big old saws up there and goes, "Yeah, look at my saw." You know,
that's exactly what it is.
you know, so who's got the biggest power tools? Who's got the big? You know,
Yeah.
Yep.
so it's just all about
got
you
the
know,
most?
They hold power sander racers around here. And so guys will soup up power sanders, put heavy grit sandpaper on it, and the extension cord is actually plugged into a cable, so the cable runs with it, and it's just like it's just like a Pinewood Derby because they make these
I've seen that.
plywood slotted, right? And you hit go, and I've got my fastest one is a Craftsman from about 1975, fully magnesium bodied one, you know, from a shop class. And that was before OSHA came in and said, hey, they can't turn over so many RPMs. They can't do this, can't do that. And it was super light. And so, you know, it's like you said, everything you can do is like, how can you do it faster, better than the next guy? And it all comes down to the wallet and how much money you got in the bank. And so, even when it comes to my car, I've got a nice car. I'm happy. I believe going down the freeway, I'd stay beside a Mustang for a little bit on a good day, whatever. I know it's not a race car, but I also know that I didn't have $20,000 more to get to the next level of crap that a guy would want to do, you know. So, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what,
and
I remember we used to have these big meets several years ago, and a lot of late model stuff, and there's a lot of high horsepower late model stuff. They do a lot of the videos that you see on like 1320, and they do road racing and stuff. And it was crazy. But anyway, this guy had a really fast Cadillac, and this was back when I had small block Chevy Pro Charger on it, and I only had about 16 pounds of boost on it. And he was like, "I bet I can take that Bel Air." And I said, "You might. You definitely might." I said, "But always remember this." I said, "I can spend money to make my car faster than yours." I said, "But you can never spend enough money to make your car look as cool as mine." And that's the. And he sat there a minute and he goes, "You're right." And I go, "I know I'm right." I said, "So
right.
whatever you do, you'll never look as cool as an old car." And so that's one thing about all of us here.
Never
No.
ever looks as cool as the old stuff.
No. And so I say that to everybody on this page. I mean, I don't care, convertible, sedan, 4-door, whatever, you know. I mean, they're cool cars. Everybody wants one, you know.
Yep.
And so, you know, just be happy that you're able to own one, and you know, do what you want to with it, you know.
Well, Joey, I don't think Dan's heard the story, but I think I told you when I was down in Texas I told you and Chris, your friend Chris, about the old guy in the Chevy Nova 2, you know, that was on the freeway. And Dan, so I'll tell you the story. This is back in middle 2003, 2005, and it was CarCraft weekend. So CarCraft, you know, or it's back to the 50s weekend, one of them. But so, anyways, you know, you got all these hot rods in town, and it's a Friday, and I'm heading home. I've got a 94 Astro van that's on its last leg, and I got a guy.
Candy van.
Free candy van. And so I'm driving home, and I'm on Interstate 94 going through St. Paul. And so this it was a light blue color, like 62, 64 Chevy 2, whatever it was, right? Nova. I'm not good on the years. And I had an old guy with his wife. Now his wife had that permed white hair of an old lady, and this guy had his hat on like this. Yeah, and I did shave this week for you guys. So he had his hat on like
no
this.
fuzzy.
He had one of these hats on like this, and he had glasses on. Here, I'll do it just perfectly. He's like this behind the wheel, and so he's driving, and he's got his hat on crooked, and this guy with a Mustang, and it was right around when Mustang upgraded to, I don't, like I said, 05, whatever, that really nice Mustang. I like the Mustang. It was kind of like the first retro one they had that looked good. But anyways,
Yeah.
So this kid comes up, and it's got a loud exhaust, and he's egging this old guy on with this black Mustang. He's lurching on him right beside him, doing 55, 60 miles an hour, trying to get this guy to go. And this goes on for probably about 3-4 miles. And finally, we're getting to the stretch where there's the big 3M. 3M's got its big corporate headquarters. And right there, the road straightens out pretty good. And then you got about a half a mile, and you go under the overpass of what's 694 interstate. And then you've got 12 miles to Wisconsin, straight as an arrow. Now, this time of night, it's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and it's, the roads are empty. And so finally, right around this 3M building, this guy's lurching and revving his motor. And finally, the old guy looks over at his wife, and just, you could see him talk, and his head nods. And this old lady reaches behind and starts putting on a 3-point harness. And the old guy takes his hat and sets her right down. And I'm telling you, as soon as we got, I'm just like, I looked at this kid working with me, and I said, watch this, because all I knew was it was going to get good. And we're going out past what's called the 694 overpass, and 94 goes underneath. And you saw that Nova just jump because he shifted down. Boom, and it hit hard. And all of a sudden, all I saw as soon as he got on it, that Mustang didn't stand a chance. The two taillights on that Nova just went right away from you. And I had that 4.3 Astro van to the boards, and I didn't even have a chance of keeping up. I just want to see it.
Yeah.
But he left that old man in, a 40-year-old hot rod, 50-year-old hot rod, whatever it was, just walked on that guy. And that kid in the Mustang didn't have a chance. I mean, and the kid might have had a tune and some mufflers, but he didn't even stand a chance, because when that guy dropped the hammer, I don't know what it had or anything, you could just hear it. And I'm opening up the windows in the van, and so I could hear it, because it was going to get good. But like I said, you're outmatched when a 65-year-old gray-haired broad starts putting on a 3-point harness in the car. So,
But I tell you what, as much as we make fun of the Mustang guy, I promise you that Mustang guy's got a fast car now. Because if we're true, my car's evolved from the way it is because I got beat. I mean, that's all there. Losing costs money. That's all there is to it.
No,
you want to just go, and that's part of it. I mean, we all have stories. I could tell you stories and stories and stories. But that's what drives you to build a better mousetrap.
Oh yeah, build a better mousetrap, go faster.
Yep. And so that's what keeps the hobby alive and the enthusiast alive. You just want to somehow not have crowd control Mustangs running around, though.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, and I truly don't know any. I mean, as much as we give people crap, it's about a car culture. Yes, we have our Tri-5s. Joey, you and I got ours because they were our dads.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little, that's what I grew up with. But I don't think there's anybody that doesn't like a nice, 67 Mustang or 65, or even for that, like an 88 5-liter Fox body Mustang. We've all been in one of those, and they all had their day.
I used to like the 80s Fox bodies with the composite headlight front end and the hatchback. There was one of the stereo stores in Omaha, they had done the car all up. It was the pipe tuned, the exhaust sounded killer. It had the stereo system in it, and that one, we were friends with the kid's dad, and he was a State Farm agent, and he got to know Dad real well, and so we did a bunch of work for him. Anyways, through the course of doing work, we ended up doing work on the Mustang and stuff. But this car, I just fell in love with this car when I was younger, and it was mostly because of the exhaust, because it just had that sound.
Yeah, the back then the 80s Mustangs did have a decent sound. I mean,
when they had a Flowmaster on them, they sounded pretty good.
Yeah, they're just honestly they're the platform that they have for racing wise is just it's hard to get. Light is right, and they, you can. I mean, they're getting a little harder to find, but you get a coupe. Man, you can make that thing without a lot of money. I mean, you can make that thing weigh 2,600 pounds
Yeah.
easy.
Right.
And
One,
you don't have to make big horsepower when you got stuff like that. And most of your classes are based on a Fox body. That's why you see them so much at the track. It's because they'll say stock suspension. Well, I mean, you get a factory 4-link. I mean, a G body car will have a factory 4-link. It's a solid frame car, but and they're good cars. But the difference is you don't get a coilover front suspension, and with a G body, you don't get that. You use double A arm suspension. I mean, they're good race cars, don't get me wrong, but a Fox body, you have coilover front suspension. I mean, you buy a K member for $100 and you save several 100 pounds off the front of your car. It's just, and like I said, stock suspension in the back. There's just tons and tons of aftermarket stuff for them. So that's why you see them all over the place.
And back around, it was 88 or 90. The stock horsepower in a GT was 2.25. And of course, most people tell you that the LX model was actually faster because it's lighter or what. Yep. But to go from 2.25 to 400 horsepower in the Mustang is relatively cheap. It was only a couple grand or $1,500, and you had that kit, and it was at 400 horsepower.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they were good cars. I just can't fit in them worth a darn.
Well, you can't fit in a lot of things very well. You have to sit in the back seat.
No, it actually took my wife having 2 kids for me to fit okay in that one. Well, on that note.
So,
is that marriage tip number 9?
That'd probably be marriage tip 11. I'm up to 10. I'm telling you, if I get 10 more tips, I'm writing a book. I'm getting good response.
Did you guys see that post that Jeff Harris tagged me in this weekend of that air cleaner that was at the Wahoo swap meet?
I did see that.
I mean, I understand the original, but there's a point where when there's aftermarket out there already, the only thing that you really have there is originality, but by the point you get to that, does originality make such a big difference anymore? You've got an aftermarket for about $50 less, and you don't have to sandblast the aftermarket to get it all cleaned up and pretty, and then so really you're spending more for the aftermarket and originality.
Yeah, I think if anything in that instance, from what I've learned, it's nice. You always want original. You can always say, hey, that's straight out of 57, that or whatever, whatever it came out of. But you're right, because you can't ask $200 for a rusty piece of tin that you can go buy an aftermarket thing. Yeah. I think it was legitimately probably $100 piece, 125 maybe, but definitely not a $200 piece, because like you said, knowing you would sandblast it, body work it, and you'd have to make it right. Yeah. And it's going to take a lot of time and effort. But to the right guy that's maybe been looking for that piece, you'd have to find the absolute right guy that wants that piece.
Yeah. The guy looking for an absolute original 100%, no aftermarket parts. I want it to be all original. So,
I'd like to know the metal difference, though, if the original one was thicker gauge metal and heavier duty.
Most definitely, because the aftermarkets are made in China, so they're going to be a cheaper, thinner quality. So.
Yep.
In race car world, light is right.
Yeah. Lighter works.
Just say light is right. So
absolutely. Well, in that also, you think about light, is I want to put a floor in my trunk, because I want to be able to put a carpeted floor in my trunk so I can bolt stuff down to it, like the cooler. I think I'm going to put that on hold, because I went to get a piece of 3/4 or 1/2-inch plywood for it that I wanted, and it was $89 for a sheet of plywood. Ooh. And so I said, I think I'll wait. That seemed a little ridiculous for a piece of plywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, where you're putting that weight, that's in the right spot. That's in the trunk. It gets weight over the rear wheels, so you get better traction.
Right.
No, actually, the best place to put it is in front of the back tire. That way, it doesn't weedy too much counter levies. But if it's in the, it's right in the front tire. That's really where we want it.
Yep.
So
So
stick it.
who knows? But the next thing I got to work on now is I've talked to my upholstery guy because I really love the work he did. But because my pleated tuck and roll is so thick, and instead of using cardboard, we used the eighth inch ABS for the backing on the door panels. And my nails, as you know, you push the nails into the door, they are coming out. And so I have to pop it in. And some guys have mentioned, just use some Velcro in there, and that's just thicker yet. So I've got to take the door panels off anyways, because I have to tighten up my screws, or tighten up basically the studs and nuts for the spears on my doors, because they've worked loose a little bit. So I'm going to put butyl on when I redo this. So he's looking for some oversized nails or some kind of sleeve to go on the nail, if that makes sense, so it shoves in.
Now, are your nails not holding tight in the door, or are they pulling loose in your door panel?
They're pulling through the door, because that slot that's in the door.
Trim card?
No, they're pulling from the door.
Oh, okay. The nails are a little bit too small then.
Yep. And plus the other thing is, you got to remember, over time, if you've put door panels in and out, whatever, those slots have gotten a little bit bigger.
Got a little bit
bigger. Yep. So he's going to put, he said he'd be happy to peel it back and figure out how to fix it. But, slots, holes, he's going to get his little nail bigger, feed it in there. Right. I can just do this. That's who I am. See, that's Joey. That's my Dan card.
There you go.
Dan. No, it was a good little sketch last week. So who knows? But hey, this is a good first run to see how this works.
Yeah. So I think with that point, I think we're going to wrap the show this week. So once I get off here, I will post this, and we'll let the guys in the mob see what they think of it. And for future, once I get out of Facebook purgatory, or Facebook probation, I'll be able to go live again.
So
then we'll be going.
Are you going to do it on Mondays still, or are you with the baseball stuff?
To be determined, depending on when baseball games are and when stuff is. I think the first baseball game is this Saturday. They only get 2 practices before their first game, and I think they might have a game Monday night next week. So we might have to reschedule doing this recorded version of Live in the Mob till.
We should do it at Saturday nights at about 7. My wife says I'm funnier after a couple of drinks.
Well, but then we don't have all the weekend conversation to talk about.
That's true.
And, weekend posts.
No, it's good.
And I'm working this weekend, so
we'll figure it out.
So any update on hotels or anything at the Nationals, or?
My wife put together a list. I got to go talk to her about it.
I haven't really been looking, because I'm not going to be able to go this year. So my entry, if I knew how to make it transferable, then I would certainly transfer it to somebody who might need it. But I don't know how to go about doing that.
Oh, to race?
Yeah, I don't know either. I guess I would probably just call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know it's a non-refundable thing, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, my thing, I'm planning on going. I initially thought I would have. I thought that I wanted to do quarter-mile passes in the car. It won't be ready. I won't have changing the rear end, changing the converter in it, and I've told a couple of people this. I honestly, if the car runs like it's supposed to run, I don't know if I want to do 175, 180 in that car. To be real honest with you.
No,
but why wouldn't you want to do that fast?
Because it's only rated at, it's got an 850 cage in it. That's one reason why.
Well, let me ask you though, Joe, what's preventing you from getting out there, lighting it up, and going 8th or a little over an 8th? And
I'd do an 8th. No, I would do that. I would do an 8th. I'd do an 8th and coast. I could do that. So
Because what I'm thinking is I would go slow off the start and then give her hell at the end and try and catch you, because I don't want to burn up my tires.
So,
Oh yeah.
well, hey,
Well,
dude, I gotta jump off this, so I gotta take this
Yep,
call. So I'll
okay.
holler at
not a
y'all.
problem. Thanks,
All right,
Joey.
man.
All right. Thanks.
See y'all later,
Joey.
guys. Bye.
Bye. Oh,
Sweet.
now, is he gonna remember that he's on the computer yet? No, he's probably
Also,
gonna close it there. Yeah.
I can't see. I
Yeah.
wish I could see what you could see. That'd be better.
Well, eventually we'll be able to get something figured out to where I can screen share, but that's what
Yeah.
is there. So, anyways, well, and there he went. So, anyways, that concludes
Yeah.
our live in the mob for this week. So, I appreciate everybody for joining in and watching. Any closing comments you want to share, Craig?
No, I think you're doing a great job. This is fun. I think we're going to go places, and just you and me got to watch our fun posts so we can get out of this dang jail, because I don't even know how long it is until I can make posts. Like I said, I can post everywhere but the mob, and I can comment on the mob, but I can't start a post. So I just got to figure out why they're doing that and go from there.
Right. Well, we'll have to see what we can do to get going, and I'll just have to keep myself out of trouble, and hopefully when I stay out of trouble, we'll be all right. So
Sounds like a deal.
So I wanna thank everybody for joining and listening and watching, and we'll see y'all guys next week, and just stay on here. We'll talk to you guys next week. So thanks for joining, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you guys later.